Hello everyone, I'm Esperanza Walsh and this is Art from the Heart at St. Augustine's Church. And today we're still doing Impressionism and the subject is a landscape. This is actually based on a photograph that I took when I was in Cornwall over the weekend. And as you can see here, there's this sort of island or landmass and this other landmass over here in this small island-like structure here and water. So we are going to paint this for this session. And previously in class, we painted this as well. This is our impressionist version. So from afar, it looks like a very green landmass with a nice body of water. But if we look at it closely, we can see the brush strokes, the lines, and the details are not that clear. A typical characteristic of impressionist painting. So let me just put this back here. And we shall start with our artwork. So for this art piece, okay, what I did was to mark the original uh, uh, printout photograph, uh, just to approximate the position of the structures or items within the whole image. So as you can see here, I drew a vertical line and a horizontal line. And I will do that on my paper as well. Again, this does not have to be a perfect straight line. And by the way, on your art piece, try to make the lines as light as possible, as long as you can see them. Again, these are just markers to show us the relative position of the items in the art piece. So I've now divided it into approximately 4 equal portions. And for this lower part, I'm going to divide it further by drawing a horizontal line, like so. And here, I am going to draw a vertical line in this quadrant. I'm not going to draw it straight going up because this is the clouds in the sky. And we actually don't have any other structure in this particular art piece. So I'm going to draw the line in the middle, well, approximately in the middle, similar to this. And here, for the lower rectangular area, I'm going to further divide it like so. Okay. And I'm going to extend it until this line over here. Again, as you can see, it's not that straight. It's not perfectly straight line. Again, these are just markers, and later on we will be erasing these markers. So for now, we start with our drawing, and we start with this big chunk. So here, I'm just going to draw this squiggly area. Again, draw it as light as possible, as long as you can see it. And then here, I'm following the shape, but not exactly as this. Again, it's impressionist. We have to see the design later on. I mean, we have to see the shapes later on. However, it doesn't have to be exact. Okay, and then now I'm going to draw this bit. So, which is just like so. And then extend it a little bit here. And then curve like that. And then here I have a small island. Like that. And okay, that should be a bit thinner. And then here, right above it, I should draw an approximately parallel line to this. And that is my sketch. So I can now set this image aside. I am going to erase the guidelines now. And I'm also going to erase the excess lines that I don't want to use. Like this one. And this one I am going to draw the line again. Like so. And those areas that I have erased, I am going to draw it again. The important areas that I have to draw again. And there is our sketch. Okay, I'm not sure you can see the upper part. Let me just draw the upper part again, just so you can see it. Again, on your paper, please make it as light as possible. Okay, so now you can see the sketch. Let me just get the image. And this is the original, and this is our sketch. Okay, I will just lighten this up a bit so that when I paint it, I don't see the lines too much. Okay, so now I can already paint parts of it, and I will begin with the clouds and the sky. And with that, I would paint it with water first. Okay, and this time I'm using a mop brush. You don't have to use a mop brush. You can actually use your round brush. However, it's easier to use a mop brush because it holds more water. And since we're doing wet on wet for this portion of the art piece, it's easier with the mop brush because we have more water on the paper with lesser dipping on our jar or our bowl for water. Okay, so now this area, so from here to the top of the sketch, that's going to be sky. And now I'm going to use my round brush and get some blue paint. And then I am going to draw the shape of the sky I want. I mean, paint the shape I want. Okay, and then here, let's do that like so. So again, it's just like drawing it, but you're doing it with the brush. And you see, it's just the shape I want. Now I will dip my brush in water and spread the edges. Okay, we apply the technique of feathering. And since the paper is wet, it would be easy for us to spread this without staining the paper. So that means we won't see hard lines. Instead, it will spread softly. Okay, it seems that this area has already dried, so I'm just going to add more water to my brush. Like so. And then I'll be able to spread the paint. Excuse me. Okay, let's add some more blue paint here. And we have painted the sky. The next part we're going to paint would be the water. Now this one is very interesting because we have to mix some colors, specifically blue and green. So I am going to get, I already have a mixture here. It is actually dried, but just to show you, I will put some blue paint here, like so, and then clean my brush, rinse it, and now I'm going to get some green paint and just drop it there, just to change the color. Now, before I actually paint it, I would like to test if it's the color I want, and yes, it is. So I have the color I want. Let me just wipe that off because I don't want that spreading anywhere. And then we will now start painting the water. Now, to paint the water, again, I will apply water in some areas. I will use my mop brush again. Again, you can use your regular brush for this. So here I'm applying it right below sort of island, and then around it, not on it, and then right below this line over here. Okay, and then let's add a little more here, and then the usual strokes I use for water, we just paint elongated X's. Again, elongated X's. Okay, this is already dried, so we need to add water here. We have to make sure there's water here as well. And then again, elongated X's. And as we go closer to the edge of the paper, okay, it becomes less dense. The X's become less dense. And you don't have to paint to the edge of the paper. Usually, if you would frame it, it would just be up to a certain point. I just want to maximize the size to show you more areas. Okay, so now I painted that. I will now paint some parts of it with blue. So I'm going to get that dark blue paint and we paint it here on this bit. And again, elongated X's. Again, as we go closer, um, to this edge here, we have lesser, we use lesser strokes. So and now I'm going to get some black paint because in the original painting, I mean the original image, it's darker here in this area. So I'm just going to apply some black paint here, like so. And just like the earlier ones, the earlier paints we applied in this area, I will use elongated X's to show movement of water. Okay, now that is fantastic. So we now have this area where we have the sky and we have the water. Now it will be time to paint the island itself. So for the island, we can use burnt umber as our base. So let me just do that. So let me get some burnt umber. Oh, but it has to be dilute. Now we're doing wet and dry for this island. And don't let the paint touch the wet areas. Okay, I will paint here like so. And yes, if there are areas with more paint, that's okay because we will be trying to create texture. So here I want to get rid of this line. So I just rinsed my brush and um, I'm just brushing it with water. Okay, so now we painted the base of our island. And now we will move on to the next bit. So I'm going to put some green paint here for the trees. And I will use the lighter green first, as we do in watercolor. We use the lighter colors first, and then we add the darker colors on top of it. We shouldn't be doing it the other way around. Otherwise, we won't be seeing the lighter color. Will be dominated by the darker ones. So here, let me just do that. Okay. And now I need some darker green paint. Okay. And I will start here like so. And just let it spread to the lighter area. Okay. And now I'm brushing it to some parts of the lighter area. And then I'm rinsing my brush and just using water. So I'm just trying to soften the edges here. Okay, so now I have some greenery here. And then I am going to paint other areas with some green paint. So I'm just going to paint over our base, which is the burnt umber. So again, lighter green. And here like so. So it acts more like an underpaint. So we know which area to paint what. Okay, and here I am just going to drop some green paint. Okay, now this is the exciting bit. I love this part. Now this is dry on wet, and some areas dry and dry. So I am now going to get some green paint, just dab it like so, and that is to create the texture. And here we just spread this using our brush. Again, same thing when we paint it like this, so that the bristles itself creates shapes. Those would be foliage for our trees and shrubs. Okay, now I am going to add some black paint to the green paint, to the dark green paint. And here, okay, I'm going to create shapes. And then again, I will dab some of it. Yes, and there will be lighter areas in between the dark green areas. And that is actually to create a more 3D effect for our impressionist painting. Let me just add some more. Okay, for this one, I think I have too much paint. The puddle has been created, so I have to lift that. Okay, so now there's texture there. More texture. And then we add more paint here. And again, we apply it using the same motion, tapping with the tip of the bristle. So we are creating this lovely scenery by simply tapping the brush and creating some sort of three-dimensional foliage. Okay, I think I need more black paint there. Okay, fantastic. I just need to turn it around. Ah, okay, that's great. And then we'll just add more paint to this area. And also here along this area. Now I'm going to get some black paint. Just drop it in random areas, and later on I'm going to do the same process in that area, but with the paint already there. Okay, now I'm going to dry the bristles of my brush, and I am going to spread those black paint like so. Perfect. Okay, and we're doing it for this ones as well. And here. Okay, and here I am going to I'm going to lift some of the paint off. And also a little bit here. And I'm just going to get some black paint and then just spread it there. And then I'm going to dip it here on this side again. Maybe add a little bit of water to make it more fluid because it has already dried a little bit. And then I'm going to dab this area and this area, just to make the transition look softer and more spontaneous. There we go. And then here as well. Let's put some more paint here. Okay, fantastic. So now we've painted the large part of this land mass. It's now time to put some details on the rock. Yes, I did mention Impressionist paintings don't require so much details, but it has to have that effect. And to do that, I'm just going to get some burnt umber. So burnt umber over here. And what I'm going to do to mimic the shape of the rocks is just to dab some brown paint randomly. Okay, I am actually doing it in a circular manner, just to make sure that I fill all those gaps. Again, I'm filling it, but not in the solid sense. So um, there are lots of dots there, or brown paint distributed almost evenly. And we're going to do the same thing here. Yes. I mean, fill it almost evenly, like so. And also the bottom part. Yes, as you might notice, it's actually starting to dry with those random shapes. And yes, we do intend that to happen. And now once we finish filling everything with those evenly or almost evenly distributed uh, dark brown paint or burnt umber, I am going to rinse my brush, make sure it's clean. And I'm now going to start to lift some of the paint from some areas. So lift some of the paint. And yes, it would spread a little bit because there are still wet areas. But now we have a more evenly distributed colors here. And then we will do the same thing in this area. And then now we will go to this one. Oops. So just dab it. And dab it with your brush sideways, unlike the foliage where we did this. Now we're doing it this way. And then here at the bottom. And that's our eyelid, but it's not finished yet. We need to give it more dimension. So I'm going to get some black paint and do something similar, but um, with the larger spaces in between and smaller dots. So smaller dots, larger spaces in between, and same in this area. And then same process, we're going to clean our brush, rinse, and then now we are going to tap it with our clean brush and allow it to spread. Again, there will be areas which would be stained. Those would be the areas where we drop the black paint. Then again, we repeat the process for this area. If it has already dried up, make sure you add some water to your brush. So just leave some, but don't um, squeeze it too much. Or uh, after um, after you rinse it, dip, but just the tip, just to give it a little more water. And then we start doing the same process again sideways for the brush. And then we will do the same thing here. And then I'm going to get some more black paint and just paint the line here at the bottom and just uh, let the paint spread naturally towards the brown area. And here again. And here behind the shrubs and trees. And let me just turn this around so that I can see what I've already painted. Yeah, yes, and I would do my best to paint it facing you so that it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. Okay, I think that is very good. Now, let me just see how it looks from far. Oh, I think that looks very nice. But it seems that this still lacks dimension. So I am going to use more black paint for this and then just create some um, shapes, randomly distributed shapes. And same thing we did earlier, we will try to soften it by just dabbing the brush on it. Okay, I need a little bit more here. Again, we soften it by dabbing with water. Uh-huh. And then this island-like structure, we will drop some burnt umber on this as well. And then similar to what we did here, we're going to dab it with our brush. Sideways. And then drop some black paint. And again, same process. We will dab it with our brush. A little bit of water there. I'm gonna extend that a bit there. And now we have the large chunk here finished. So we now proceed to this area. Similar to what we did earlier, we must start with the lighter color. So that will be green. So I will have light green here. And then after we paint that with light green, I'm now going to get some dark green paint, which is this one. And then I'm going to paint this area. And this one. This one like so. And that area. Now we go to the next darker shade, which is the one we mix with black. And here I am going to dab this a little bit with the tip to create that effect of trees. And then here, okay, I'm going to just create a slight little higher area here to mimic the effect of a mountain's range. So now we have this almost finished. So I'm just going to get some black paint, and I'm gonna turn this a little bit here, and I'm just going to draw a line here at the bottom. Doesn't have to be a continuous line. Because you can see, you can observe the separation of the color between the black and the green area. So I'm just going to try to smooth that out by using a wet brush, not too wet, but just enough to allow the black paint to spread. Okay, and here. Let's make this darker. And here it is, our Impressionist landscape, which I think is a very good version of this one and a brighter version of this one. So from afar, you can see the water, the sky, and everything in it. Again, if you look closely, you will see that some of the spaces, the areas are fuzzy, and the details are not that distinct. But again, from afar, it shows our landscape. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's session, and we will be doing more impressionist art pieces, and they will be based from some of the photographs I've taken during our visit to Cornwall and Devon. Thank you very much, and see you again next time. Bye bye.